Is this truly just an editorial coincidence? Or is it a subtle signal quietly reshaping how the world sees BTS? Why, out of 7 names that have stood side by side for more than a decade, was only one face chosen to grace the print pages of one of the world's most influential media outlets? And if this is not merely an ordinary visual choice, are we witnessing the beginning of a new narrative, one far larger, more complex, and perhaps more controversial than fans ever imagined? These are the very questions now lingering in the public's mind since the photo of Jungkook appeared as the main illustration in the print edition of the New York Times. In an instant, an image that appears technically simple, a singer standing in front of a microphone with a sheet of paper in hand, transformed into the center of a global debate. Not only because of who is in the photo, but because of who is not. Amid the long-awaited comeback euphoria of BTS, the public was suddenly confronted with a reality that felt unsettling to some. A group known for its collective strength, for the narrative of 7 as one, is now represented by a single figure in one of the world's most prestigious media outlets. Is this a form of recognition, or the beginning of an imbalance long denied? The photo first drew attention after being shared by the fan account at Jungkook Crave_ on April 5, 2026. Within what seemed like a simple post lay a detail that immediately sparked waves of reaction. The image was not just an ordinary portrait, but part of an article titled 5 Takeaways from BTS: The Return. The article explores BTS's latest documentary, BTS: The Return, an ambitious project marking the group's comeback after 4 years of hiatus due to military service and each member's solo journey. Directed by Baung-gwin, the documentary follows the emotional journey of 7 members, RM, Jin, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook, as they reunite in Los Angeles in the summer of 2025 to work on their 5th album titled Erarang. It is a project not only about music, but about reconstructing identity, about rediscovering a chemistry once interrupted by time and distance. Yet behind that grand narrative, public attention fixated on a detail that seemed small but carried enormous weight: the choice of the main visual by Regina Kim in the article. Why Jungkook? Why not a group photo? Why not a moment of togetherness that has long symbolized BTS's strength? Some fans see it as well-deserved recognition. They call Jungkook the main character, a figure who consistently demonstrates outstanding vocal performance and global appeal. From this perspective, the photo is not an imbalance, but a reflection of industry reality, that within group dynamics, there is always an individual who naturally draws greater attention. On the other hand, voices of concern have emerged. Is this fair? Does it reflect BTS's spirit as a group? Or does it reinforce a narrative long avoided, that there is an invisible hierarchy within a collective that is supposed to be equal? The controversy intensified when Jungkook's quote from the article began circulating widely: "There's a part of me that just wants to be seen as a singer." A sentence that, at first glance, sounds simple. Yet in a broader context, it feels like a deeply personal confession, almost like a whisper finally heard by the world. What does this statement truly mean? Is it merely a personal reflection of an artist seeking to return to the essence of music? Or is it a signal of pressures long hidden behind the glitter of global superstardom? This is where the narrative begins to shift, from a report about a photo into a discussion about identity, expectations, and power dynamics within the modern entertainment industry. Jungkook, long known as the Golden Magne, suddenly becomes a symbol of something larger, a representation of the tension between individuality and collectivity. Reactions on social media reflect this complexity. On one side, there is overwhelming pride. Many see this moment as proof that Jungkook has reached an extraordinary level of global recognition. Yet on the other side, there is an unease that cannot be ignored, a recurring question: will this spotlight strengthen BTS as a group, or create a growing distance among its members? Interestingly, this phenomenon cannot be separated from a broader context. The K-pop industry, long defined by its structured group system, now stands at a crossroads. As more artists pursue solo careers, the line between individual and group identity becomes increasingly blurred. In such a landscape, every decision, even one as seemingly small as choosing a photo, can carry far greater implications. And perhaps this is where the true surprise lies: that a silent image, without sound, without motion, can ignite a global conversation about fairness, identity, and the future of a legendary group. That in an increasingly visual world, a single frame can reshape narratives. Yet the biggest question remains unanswered. Is this merely a fleeting moment, a coincidence amplified by algorithms and emotion? Or are we truly witnessing the beginning of a new chapter in BTS's journey? A chapter where the focus gradually shifts, where the story is no longer only about we, but also about I. In time, the answer may become clearer. But for now, one thing is undeniable. Jungkook's photo in the print pages of the New York Times has done something rare. It has not only captured attention, it has provoked reflection. It has not only celebrated achievement, it has opened space for questions. And perhaps that is precisely where its power lies. Not in what is seen, but in what it compels us to keep asking. And just when the public assumed the debate would gradually fade, something more subtle, yet far deeper, began to surface. The narrative surrounding the photo of Jungkook was no longer confined to the question of who appeared on the pages of the New York Times. Instead, it evolved into a broader discussion about how the outside world, particularly Western media, constructs the face of BTS itself. Is this an objective representation, or rather a reflection of global market preferences that, in subtle ways, reshape the group's identity? Amid this growing scrutiny, the documentary BTS, The Return has once again come into focus, not merely as a cinematic work, but as a cultural text layered with meaning. Viewers who watch more closely begin to notice that camera focus, screen time, and even narrative structure are not entirely neutral. There are moments where Jungkook's presence feels more intense, more intimate, as if the audience is being guided to experience the comeback through his perspective. Is this intentional, or simply the natural outcome of production dynamics? Yet this question becomes even more complex when placed within the realities of the industry. In a highly competitive global ecosystem, visibility is not just about fairness, it is also about strategy. Media institutions like the New York Times do not merely present facts, they frame them through angles that resonate most with their audience. In this context, Jungkook, with his international image, digital influence, and cross-cultural appeal, may be seen as the most effective bridge to deliver BTS's story to a broader world. But this is precisely where the dilemma emerges. When one individual becomes the primary entry point into a group's narrative, does it strengthen the story as a whole, or does it simplify it? Does the global public truly see BTS as 7 individuals who complete one another, or does attention slowly concentrate on a single figure perceived as the most representative? On the other hand, fan reactions reveal an equally compelling dynamic. Some remain firm in their belief that BTS will always stand as a unified whole, that no member is more important than another. Yet others are beginning to accept, even celebrate, the possibility that each member now occupies a different lane of visibility. From this perspective, what is happening is not fragmentation, but evolution, and perhaps in the midst of all these debates, Jungkook's words echo once more, this time with a different weight. There's a part of me that just wants to be seen as a singer. A statement that now feels almost ironic. As he expresses a desire to be perceived in simpler terms, the world responds in a far more complex way, turning him into a symbol, a focal point, even a site of tension. In the end, the question why only Jungkook may never have a single definitive answer. It is shaped by a convergence of factors, editorial decisions, industry dynamics, public perception, and perhaps the inevitable trajectory of an artist standing at the intersection of personal identity and global expectation. What is certain, however, is that this moment has opened a conversation that will not easily close. And in the landscape of modern entertainment, where every detail can evolve into narrative, that may be precisely what gives it such power and makes it impossible to ignore.